Hey, what's going on, Bill? I wanted to do a short tutorial over QuickBooks for you to make sure that you can have as smooth a transition as possible going from Service Fusion to this program as you're doing your estimates and work order. I know it's a little bit cumbersome and a touch archaic, but we'll get through it. And then we are looking to have a new systems program that's hopefully going to be beneficial for all facets of the company. So meanwhile, let's get into this. I'm going to share my screen and kind of walk through this program with you. Okay, so here we go. We're on the home screen. So once you sign in, this is what you will see. This top toolbar, you won't need to do much with until you're actually exiting out of the program. The next one with the icons is where you're really going to live. Just on the home right here, which is this screen, and then customers, which brings up our customer list. Earlier, while we're here, this little arrow will take your job information folder and decrease it and expands the customer file. In order to get back, just push that button back over, okay? So let's go back home real quick. This is a flow chart, but basically what you're going to be working with are these two icons, estimates and change orders and sales orders. They look exactly the same as you go into them. You're just going to create a blank document. But within here, what you're really going to focus on is either find or these arrows to toggle back into other estimates that have been, or work orders that have been recently created. So I'm in the estimate file. If I arrow back, I can start to see estimates that were recently created. Or I can click find if I'm looking for one in particular. And while I'm there, then this window will pop up and I can write in, whatever my estimate number is, and it'll bring it up quickly that way. So it's just kind of a quick search. Sales order is the exact same thing. Brings up a blank work order, and you've got your find and you've got your arrows. So we can go back and we can actually see, oh, here's Republic Services. So if you needed to tweak that, you could right here. So I'll close that. That is your home screen in a nutshell, what you're going to be working with at this time. The other big section you're going to look at is customers. In your customer file, this is where you can create a new customer, or you can look up customers that you're currently working with. The big thing to know here is that when you're in, let's say we click on Republic Services, let's double click on that. And what this does is it brings up our customer information screen. This has to be accurate. So make sure that you are filling this out as completely as possible. So you've got your company name, your customer name, and then contact information. And then down here you have your invoice screen, and you have your ship to screen. So the addresses may be different here, and what we don't want is our guys that are going out to a project in the morning and they go to the wrong address because they haven't because where we're going to invoice to and where we're actually doing the project are different places. So make sure that those are accurate. If it happens to be the same address, then you can just click copy and it'll just send it right over there. Along with this, on the left-hand side, you have some different tabs. Payment settings. Generally, this is going to be a 30-day payment term, unless you set up something different with your customer. Looks like Republic Services is 75 days, which in my opinion is way too long. You don't really need to do anything in sales tax, and then additional information, your customer type, and then make sure you assign yourself as the rep. Okay, so now Republic Services contact information is set up, and you can see in the customer information screen here that we have that information that's populated. If you have another contact there, you can go down to, or you can do this tab with contacts, and go down to the bottom, manage contacts, and add somebody new into this. If you have, the operations manager you're working with, or facilities manager, or whatnot. Back here under transactions, right now, underneath Republic Services, the company itself, I'm seeing all the transactions within their Kazoo facility, which happens to be the one that you're most recently working on. Also, what we've done is yesterday we created a file or a job for Republic Services that's going to be is going to start on April 30th, right? So in that April 30th job, now I can click on that and I can see, oh, we dropped in the estimate that goes with that job and the sales order that goes with that job. We created this folder by right-clicking on the company and selecting Add Job. Once we had Add Job, then we just titled it, this is the date it takes place, this is the project name. That's going to be important every time you do a project and you're, the estimate's gone through and you're building the work order, then you want to make a job, and then because you'll know when it's being scheduled and start, so add the job and drop your documents into that job folder. It's simple to drop the documents in. You actually just go into the estimate itself, and this little drop down here, you're just going to change it to whatever you need to. So we took it from Republic Services, the company, and I selected this 4/30/2019 office thin mill job. And then save, and then now it's in that file. I guess going back into the estimate, once you have your estimate filled out and you know that all of the contact information is correct up here, and you have added your legal group, then you can email it to your customer right through here. Once you're ready to change that into a work order, you go back into this screen and you click Create Sales Order. That'll basically duplicate the document and be a sales order. It'll look exactly the same, so you're going to have to change just a couple things. You want to go down here and you want to delete the legal terms because our guys don't need to see that. And you want to add work order. So this right here, underneath the system, work order will populate a list of questions, and basically you're just going to answer those. Who's the contact? How far is the power? Is there any cove? What system are you doing? How many days do you plan? It just walks through all of those particular items. So you're going to add work order. Underneath that, you're going to add equipment. Underneath that, you're going to add any of your product. So that's the work order portion. The other things that are important to note is in the top right, where you would have had your, your project name. Now that's changed to what's the start date and the time. So adjust that information and add in your purchase order. All these new little pop-ups here. Add in your purchase order number. If you don't have a purchase order number and you have a signed estimate, then just type that right in there because that's something that Sue will want to see. Once that's done, you're going to email it. Make sure this is sent over 5 to 7 days beforehand. That way we can, Dave has enough time to be able to get equipment and product that are appropriate for the job. You're going to email it to support, which is just support@mscfloors.com, and the supervisor. So in this instance, it would be Guy. What I always did is I copied myself. I don't think it's necessary. I guess you would be the PM on it. It's not necessary that not everybody does it. It was good for me just to kind of keep track of everything, because it went right to the top of my email, and and I knew that was a upcoming project. And then underneath the subject, it just generically says sales order from MSC, and so I would put in the customer, Public Services, sales order from MSC. That way, Guy might receive 3 or 4 of these, in a week, and they're all just going to say, you got a sales order from Bill, you got a sales order from, whoever. And this just kind of sets it apart a little bit. He'll know exactly what it's about. Easier for him to find. And you can add in any other information into this screen, whether you have pictures or notes, specific notes that you don't have on the work order, you can add in there. Okay, I think that's pretty much the basics on the screens that we toggle back and forth in with, and creating an estimate, creating a work order, and then being able to send those out. So hopefully that'll get you started, and the video is not too long. So you can watch it over and over again to make sure that you understand what you're doing. Okay, so I'll stop that and stop our recording. If you have questions on this, just give a holler. We'll do the, FaceTime or whatever, and we'll get it figured out. Okay. All right, man. Thanks.